Hey, Matt Mills here, and you're watching Time to Connect.
Hey, Matt Mills, thank you so much for joining Time to Connect. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here.
I think you know that pretty much all my guests at this point on this podcast have been either musicians or writers. But, when you have a chance to talk to one of the top 20 NRHA professional riders, someone as renowned as yourself, I definitely want to take that opportunity. You're a fascinating guy. So thank you very much for being a guest. Are you coming to us from your home in Weatherford?
Yeah, I'm sitting right here in my office in Weatherford,
Yeah.
Texas.
Okay. But you're a California guy, I know, and I want to ask you a little bit about your origin story. But before I do, uh, you've got so many accomplishments and so many accolades, too many to list here. I will definitely put your website in the show notes so people can check that out. Let me just ask you, what of your accomplishments would you say you're most proud of?
Man, that's so tough, especially when I'm right in the middle of it still. Probably the gold medal that I won for Team USA.
Yeah.
That one there was that was a big highlight for sure.
No doubt. I had a feeling
Yeah.
that's what you would say. We became familiar with you from Taylor Sheridan's documentary, The Last Cowboy. You were sort of one of the stars of that thing. I know it's kind of an open-ended question, but what was that like having that camera following you around and everything for a while?
Uh, well, it was chaos. I mean, I was used to some cameras because I do a lot of stuff online with, I've got a pretty good social media presence, but I'm in control of that, so I can tell them when to stop. And so that was one of the biggest things, especially that first year when you got a mic on and, you're kind of being careful. And then pretty soon, you're talking and you go, oh, shoot, the mic's on. So it was a lot of fun, but it was a little, kind of holding your breath because you're waiting to see the episodes because they don't show you any of the footage. So you're like, oh man, how are they going to put this together and what are they going to make me look like? But overall, we all were thinking this is just such a great opportunity for all of us in the horse industry, not just reining.
Yeah. And then I know you had at least one cameo, didn't you, on Yellowstone?
Yeah, I was had a chance to be on several episodes, season 2, 4, and 5.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Actually, that first season of the Last Cowboy reality show aired right after Yellowstone. So we got a ton of new people that, of course, millions watching Yellowstone, and then they kind of watching. They're like, "What are these guys doing with the sliding and spinning?" So, um, all great fun, and can't thank my friend Taylor Sheridan enough. Personally for the opportunity, but then just for all of us because it's just throwing gasoline on a sport that we knew was great, but it was kind of a little small little group. And now we've got millions and millions out there that getting a chance to see what we do.
Absolutely. And for anyone who's not seen that series, The Last Cowboy, I highly recommend it. I think it's Paramount Plus, if I'm not mistaken, but it's definitely
Yeah.
available. And it's just whether you're a fan of reining or not, you'll become a fan of reining watching that thing for
Yeah.
sure. It's really cool. Well, I've heard you a little bit talk about growing up in California and thinking you were going to play basketball. Can you give us just kind of a little maybe a potted biography of how you got
Yeah.
from there to here.
Yeah, I keep moving east. I got my Long Beach hat on.
There
Never
you
want
go.
to, don't want to forget where I came from. That's where I'm born and raised was Long Beach. No horses around. I mean, there was a few, not many. And my mom got me into it. She had an interest in horses her whole life and started me like I was probably about 8, 9 years old with pony rides and, took a liking to it. And then I started with the lessons and there was a local stable there, Lakewood Equestrian Center, a little shout out to them. And just jumped in their lesson program and just started with weekly lessons and a lot of fun on the weekends. But my main focus was basketball. I mean, I love basketball. I still do. Playing in the backyard, lights, sun going down, all that stuff. Playing on all the teams and whatnot. And I did. I really was thinking like I'm going to go to the NBA. But looking back on it now, I was putting way more work into horses, like the stuff you don't see versus basketball, and it was just a pretty natural transition. I mean, I played basketball all the way through high school, but longer I rode horses, the more I kept showing. And then to be able to compete, I mean, the horses themselves are phenomenal. Getting to work with them, anybody that has, you know what I'm talking about if it's in your blood. But then you throw the competition aspect, and I was just immediately hooked. And when I saw reining, I think the first time I saw it, I was probably like 15, 16 years old. I thought, man, this looks great, because I was doing this equitation and trail and all this other stuff, and you had to wear these little goofy outfits, or at least that's what they told me. And you got to sit up all straight and proper. And I did all those things, which have served me well for my career. But I was like, man, these guys look like they're doing stuff that's a lot more cool, which I think it is. And jumped into that as soon as I could. I was probably about 17 when I got on my first reining horse, which that was a story in itself. Um, Parents, they weren't going to go out and buy me a fancy horse. My first horse, matter of fact, was a Appaloosa off of Los Alamitos racetrack. He was a pony horse. I think he got banned off the track. His name was Seeing Red, but he was so nuts that I think too many horses got loose under his care that he got banned from the track. He had navicular disease, everything you wouldn't want to give to an 11-year-old kid, or if you want to get him to quit. And I was so excited to get that horse. That's how I started. Then I had some others, and they were all kind of that caliber, not a lot of money. And anyway, I wanted to ride a reining horse, and they had this magazine called the California Horse Trader, and they had the classifieds in the back. And I figured out how to get in the back and find horses for sale. And I'll never forget. And we found one in Paris, California. I think it was priced at like 7,500, and there was no way we were going to buy this horse, but free ride to go out and get on him. I got on, test drove this horse, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to do this.
And somehow you ended up in Arizona training or riding. How old were you when that happened? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I started taking lessons probably like 17. So I'm in my whole senior year of school, high school. I was riding in the Lakewood Equestrian Center, but then I was also driving 45 minutes to Costa Mesa to take reining lessons. I didn't have a horse, so I took lessons on theirs, and then I was able to lease a horse and start get my feet wet, kind of show a little bit. Well, towards the end of the school year, I'm kind of looking at all these college opportunities. I'm still hanging a little bit onto basketball, but that's kind of about gone. But I got a lot of academic stuff on the table. Some chance to maybe go play some music. I played the cello as a kid also for 8 years. And I didn't want to do any of that. All I wanted to do was ride. So everybody seemed to be going to Arizona. It was a hot spot for reining. Cave Creek, Arizona. You'd see the NRHA magazine, and you'd see all these guys, Brett Stone and Cal Cooper, and guys like that. And they're all in Arizona, Todd Berg and John Slack. So I managed to line up a summer internship. And that's what I did the very next day after I graduated high school. I had my dad on the road taking me in the middle of the summer. This is June, and going to Del Hendrick's place at Rancho Oso Rio. It's right when he was first starting. So this is 97. And I remember pulling in there, and I would go to get out. And I mean, it's like opening an oven door. And my dad looks over at me and he's like, son, are you sure you want to do this? Because he's like, this is hot. And you never seen somebody jump out of the truck so fast. I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. And that's where I started. That's how I got to Arizona.
That's fantastic. And, I think we don't want to spend too much time on this, but just kind of the quick version. When someone, for the uninitiated, doesn't know what reining is, how do you describe it? What do you tell them?
So, I mean, it's we like to say it's kind of like the Formula One of riding disciplines. I think it's one of the hardest ones, if not the hardest. Some say it's kind of, take figure skating. It's a lot more exciting than figure skating, but they have to do specific maneuvers, and they're judged on technicality and style. And that's what we have to do. But it's the ultimate, the ultimate display of control, of connection between horse and rider, because we have to do so many hard, fast things, and then they have to stand still like a bird dog on a loose rein. And the horse and rider team that looks the most relaxed, but then can do the most dynamic things, are typically the ones that are at the top.
Yeah, very cool. So I imagine training is almost a daily thing for you? What is a typical day like for you?
Yeah, an ideal day is riding, training all day long. You know, 12, 14 hours, just grinding away.
Wow.
And, you know, I've learned it's always been like that, but I've kind of learned the older I've gotten that that's really where it's all at is, and, you know, and then really anybody in any sport or any craft, you know, music, whatever. I mean, the performance itself, the competition, you know, we all, I mean, at least for me, I love it. I live for it. But if you truly want to get good, you've got to put the time in. And with those horses, you know, it's all about being consistent and the repetitions, and you've got to just keep doing it over and over. And it might not be, you know, you might be a little different combination of what you, depending on where you're at and what competition you're getting ready for, or where the horse is at in their training. And then the fact that, you know, I have 30 to 40 different horses at any given time that all different ages. So, you know, work's never done. So maybe that one needs a week off, but then the other three still need to keep going. I'm afraid to stop. I mean, because it's like, you know, I don't want to lose. You never feel like you're there yet. So you're just always just kind of you're just chasing that perfect connection.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I don't think you would ever want to get there. That's part of it's the
Right.
journey. It's the journey. So one of the things that I'm interested in too is the mental aspect of it. I do executive coaching and I help people deal with stress and anxiety more in the workplace. But I'm curious, what is it like for you mentally when you go to a big show, when you go to something like the Run for a Million? Where's your mind at kind of as you're waiting to ride, when you ride into that arena, what's going on mentally? Can you give us some sense of what that's like, just from almost kind of like a psychological point of view for you?
Yeah, so a lot of that depends on what horse I'm riding, you know. If you know you got the fastest car, you got the best horse, you're going to feel a lot more confident. The preparation the days before when you're in the downtime when you're not on the horse, that's when, you know, you feel those butterflies a little bit, you feel some nerves, which I love. You know, you learn to be able to control and harness it. Once I get on the horse and I drop into my routine, then it's all, you know, it's all tunnel vision. You know, done a lot of mental prep, you know, probably lot, I mean, thousands and thousands of times going over that run. If I'm feeling uneasy at all, it's usually because something in the preparation was off. Maybe I didn't have enough time with the horse. Maybe the horse physically has got something going on, because that's the tricky part. You could be ready, dialed in completely, but if your horse gets up on that day and they're not quite the way they normally are, how are you going to handle that? And that's where, you know, experience and just staying laser focused. And after you do something for enough time, you start to recognize, you know, uh, I've seen it. I've had the worst warm up ever, like where you're going, man, why are we even doing this? And then go out there and kill it, you know. And I've seen great warm up and other way around. So I stay focused on, I try hard to stay focused on my routine, what it is I'm trying to accomplish with that horse. I try to block out the scores, like Run for Me. And that's hard for me because, and I've been guilty of that plenty where you know, say take baseball terminology, I should be going for a double. I've got a horse that can do it, you know, hit a double, and I'm going for a grand slam just because that's just how I'm wired up. So I really try now to stay kind of, you know, I don't want to say inside in my lane, but I try to stay within the horse's limits.
Hmm.
And if I get caught up with doing what that horse needs and the overall result in the show ring isn't what I wanted as far as the score goes, so be it. You know, if somebody had a better horse or they had a better run, or, you know, we got judges, so it's a little subjective. So maybe those judges thought you were a half point better than me on that day. I'm okay with that. And so that gives me a lot of peace that I'm not really, of course, I want to win, absolutely. But the game is you and your horse doing the best that you can, showing your all the potential that they have, or getting the best out of them. And if you do that, then you've got to be happy, because there's only one winner, and more times than not, you're not going to. And so if you're only just in it for did I win, you're setting yourself up for these huge highs and lows.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, not going for the Grand Slam when you know you can hit that double reminds me. My daughter, I think you know, is a reiner. I'm about ready to pull her over here to ask you a question. But at the show in Katy this week where we saw you, I think her best ride was the one. She'll probably correct me, but where her coach said, "On this ride, just go 65%."
Yeah.
And she crushed it. So,
Yep.
speaking of that, let me bring Isabella on here. This girl, Matt, has all the way in here. She, her older sister was doing horseback lessons when she was 3 years old. Is that right? 3 or 4?
She was 10.
No, when you were 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And we put her up on that horse. She screamed bloody murder when we took her off. She did not want to get off that horse, and she's not wanted to get off the horse ever since then. So I
Love
wanted
it.
to bring her in to ask you a couple of questions. What do you got from
Sure.
that?
So I know you were at the Katy show to prep for the Derby, correct?
Mhm.
How many
Yeah.
horses did you bring to like prepare?
So yeah, we had 8 horses down there. I had 4 that I specifically was getting ready for myself for next week at the Derby in Oklahoma City. Yeah, 4 Derby horses.
How'd that work out? Do you work some things out? Did it clarify things for the Derby for you?
Oh, it was great. And I, again, like to what I was saying earlier, doing this, it's called, schooling, which is what we're doing, where, you're going out and you're just not giving a darn about what the judge says, is like torture for me. Because anytime there's $20 up, I want to win. And in the past, there's been times where I've gotten myself in trouble where I'm like, well, I'll school, but I'll kind of show and I'll kind of let some little things slide, anticipation with and whatnot. And this one, I was focused. And I would say it. I said it to the back gate judge. I said it to everybody. I said, I'm going to get a 0 every single time, every single time. And I did. And it forced me to really get into some details, because if you had saw my horses the first day, you'd have been like, I don't know how this is going to go. And these are horses that just made the finals at the NRBC, but by the last day, they were starting to get dialed in. So yeah, Katy was great. I mean, I was expecting the days to not be so long, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and it was hot too.
Yeah.
What else you got for him? Speak up real loud, Tom.
I don't know. Was that thing?
You were going to ask him just general advice for young riders like Belle. Belle's 15, and she's getting the buckles and the plaques and the ribbons, and she wants to go to Texas A&M and be on the equestrian team.
Oh yeah.
She's getting her social media together. Do you have any general advice for her?
Well, it sounds like you're hitting everything. Social media is a huge thing. If nobody knows what you're doing, it's going to be hard for those coaches to track you down. So getting those reels out there, I know they like it if you're versatile. If you can kind of do different things, they like that. Or if you're just darn good at the reining, that's good too. I think paying attention to details is a huge thing. I think you should always just try to stay in those details. That's something I've gotten better at the older I've gotten. You're ahead of me, by the way. You started, I started like 8 or 9, so you started before me, so you'll be way ahead. But like lead departures, just basic horsemanship stuff that you think's not a big deal. Pay attention to it, and then really the other thing too is the stuff that goes on when you're not riding. Becoming so ultra sensitive about how your horse is feeling. Are they a little sore? Knowing, and you're only going to know that by having your hands on your horse, being involved. Don't just let the trainer do it, or if the vet comes, make sure you get there and you see. You don't need to be a vet, but you want to know what's going on, and you want to have an idea, and you want to be able to ask questions, because those vets, they're making educated guesses too. Those horses don't talk, so you want to be involved. The farrier, all of those things, they all add up, because if your horse is being affected by ulcers and you haven't treated it, and they don't want to stand still in the middle, those are things that you can control, not only from being a competitor, but just being a good horse owner, right? Because we're supposed to be doing this for the love of the horse. And I think if we keep that always number one, which you can do both, you can do that and be a competitor. Like last day, we scratched just about every single one of our horses except for one. And the reason why, day before, it was hot. Day before, most of them were pretty good. A couple of them looked like they were getting a little body sore. Not terrible, but a little body sore. It's a small show, and then you start thinking, is it worth it? And it's really never worth it. So, we could have gotten greedy and rode them anyway, and we didn't. And that's something that I think you just want to just pay attention to. And those coaches will know when they talk to you if you know horses inside and out. There's a lot of people that can their parents buy them a really nice horse, and they're good enough rider that they can go out there and win. Well, in that college atmosphere, you're going to be riding terrible horses. You're going to be riding horses that run off. You're not going to get much time. They're probably going to be lame. And so those coaches want gamers. They want people that are mentally strong, because if you're one that's going to get a little nervous if a horse does something wrong, you're going to struggle. So sounds like you guys are keen on it, but you just gotta be like a maniac about horses in general. I mean, that's really what it takes.
Yes, that's fantastic advice. Really appreciate that. One, I know you wanted to ask about lead changes. Is there anything specific? She's struggling a little bit with lead changes with her horse. Is there anything in particular?
Like, I don't know, he quits. Like, he doesn't properly bend the correct way. And I don't know if there's something that you would recommend if he's bending the complete opposite direction of what I'm asking him to change.
Is it just in the show ring, or is it at home too?
It's at home too. It's all practice and show.
He doesn't like lead changes.
And
if
so that
it does change, he doesn't fully change. He'll change in the front, but he'll crossfire and just.
Does he change leads for your trainer?
She struggles with his lead change.
Okay. So if your horse can change leads, but he's struggling with what you're saying, it sounds like it's not really a lead change problem so much as it's a leg yielding problem, not being able to move laterally well enough. So what I would do is maybe even go to the trot, and I'd try to pick off one thing at a time. I wouldn't try to say, I want to get your head straight and your body and all this. I'd pick one thing, which would be move off of my right leg, and I do it at the trot. And I might even side pass it first and just get that horse where I can put the leg on. If they move, I take it off, and I just go one step at a time. And it sounds crazy, but usually it's not a lead change problem. There's some sort of problem with your signal that the horse is just not getting. So I'd make it real black and white. It's not about spurring them hard. Usually I go with less spur or no spur. Sometimes I use a little dressage whip as pressure to tap them, make them move over. I'll get at the walk and trot where I can do these diagonals. Then you start doing it at the lope. When you go to change leads, you just want to make sure, say you're on the left lead, when you go through to change. I had an old timer teach me this that did Western riding named Troy Oakley, that it works so well. If I'm going to change from left to right, I'm going to look to the left, and I call it a no-look lead change. And that's what you're doing is your body is signaling to the horse that you're going to the left. So it sets them up great naturally without having to do any prep. Then ask for that change, and you'll be surprised how that'll work right away. If you're missing hind leads, you want to pull your leg back further and squeeze a little harder.
Okay.
Great advice. Matt Mills, thank you so much for doing this. Looking forward to seeing you at the Derby in Oklahoma next week. And again, I will put links to your website in the show notes here. And I thank you again, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good luck to you guys.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.